My name is Earl, and this is my wife Lorraine, 55 years married, and what we're about to share might sound small at first. One question, 6 words, but this one question, the one we never thought to ask each other, nearly tore us apart.
There were stretches of years where we lived in the same house but barely knew each other. We raised children side by side, slept in the same bed, and were strangers. By the time we realized what was happening, we'd already lost so much.
The question was simple. What do you need from me? We went decades without ever saying those words. We assumed, we guessed, we expected the other person to just know, and that assumption quietly destroyed us.
Let me take you back to the beginning. We got married in 1969. I was 22, Earl was 24. We thought we knew everything about love. We dated for 3 years, talked for hours on the phone, written letters when Earl was away for work training. By the time we walked down that aisle, I thought I knew this man completely. I thought I could read his mind.
And I thought the same about her. When you're young and in love, you believe that connection means you automatically understand each other. You think love is enough. You think if someone really loves you, they'll just know what you need without you having to say it.
That's the first lie we believed, that asking meant the love wasn't real, that if Earl truly loved me, he'd know when I was struggling. He'd know when I needed help. He'd know when I was lonely, even though we lived in the same house.
And I believed that about Lorraine. I thought she could see right through me. When I was worried about money, when I felt like a failure at work, when I was scared about the future, I never told her. I assumed she knew. And when she didn't respond the way I needed, I thought it meant she didn't care.
We built resentment for years based on things we never actually said out loud. I remember in 1978, our second child had just been born. Michael. I was exhausted, not just tired, but the kind of exhausted that makes you feel like you're disappearing. I needed Earl to come home and take over just for a few hours so I could sleep, but I never asked him. I thought he should see it.
And I didn't see it. I'd come home from work, play with the kids for a bit, then sit down with the newspaper. I thought I was giving her quiet time. I thought she wanted space. Meanwhile, she's in the kitchen doing dishes, furious at me, and I have no idea why.
I remember standing at that sink, scrubbing a pot and thinking, he doesn't care about me at all. If he did, he'd be in here helping. He'd take the baby. He'd do something. But I never once walked into that living room and said, Earl, I need you to take over tonight. I'm drowning.
If she had asked, I would have done it in a heartbeat. But she didn't ask, and I didn't think to offer. Because neither of us understood that asking isn't weakness. Asking is how you actually connect.
This pattern repeated for years. When my mother got sick in '84, I needed Earl to come with me to the hospital. I needed him there, holding my hand, being present. But I didn't ask. I told him I was fine going alone, and he believed me.
Because I thought that's what she wanted. She said she was fine. Why would I question that? I didn't realize that sometimes I'm fine means please see through this and ask me again.
And Earl went through his own struggles that he never shared. In '89, his company went through layoffs. He was terrified he'd lose his job. We had a mortgage, 3 kids, car payments, but he never told me how scared he was.
I'd lie awake at night, stomach in knots, and Lorraine was right there next to me. She had no idea because I never said, Lorraine, I'm scared. I need you to tell me we'll be okay. I thought admitting fear made me less of a man, less of a provider.
So I went about my days thinking everything was fine, while my husband was falling apart inside. And he did the same when I was struggling. We were both suffering alone, together. There was another time, around '92, that still hurts to think about. My best friend Carol passed away suddenly. Heart attack at 51. We'd known each other since grade school, and I was devastated. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, cried every night for weeks.
I knew she was sad. I could see it, but I didn't know what to do. So I gave her space. I thought that's what she needed. I'd come home, see her sitting in the dark, and I'd go to another room. Let her grieve in peace, I told myself.
But I didn't want space. I wanted him to hold me. I wanted him to sit with me in that dark room and say nothing, just be there. But I never told him that. I thought if he loved me, he'd know.
And I thought if she wanted me there, she'd ask. So we both stayed silent. She grieved alone, and I felt useless. We were 10 feet apart and completely disconnected.
Months later, after the worst of it had passed, I finally told him how alone I'd felt. And he looked at me like I'd slapped him. He said, "Lorraine, I wanted to be there. I just didn't know you wanted me to." All that pain, and it could have been avoided with one conversation.
The breaking point came in 1996. Our youngest had just left for college. The house was empty. And suddenly we had all this time together, just the two of us, and we realized we didn't know how to be together anymore.
We'd spent 27 years focused on the kids, on work, on survival. And when all that was stripped away, we looked at each other and saw strangers. I remember sitting across from Earl at dinner one night, and I couldn't think of a single thing to say, not one thing.
That silence was terrifying, because it wasn't comfortable silence. It was empty silence, the kind that makes you realize you've been living parallel lives instead of a shared one.
I started wondering if we'd made a mistake, if maybe we'd only stayed together for the children, if maybe the love was gone and we'd just been too busy to notice.
I felt the same way, and I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't even know where to start.
What changed things was something small. Earl came home one afternoon, and I could tell something was wrong. His shoulders were slumped. He barely said hello. And for the first time in our marriage, I didn't assume. I didn't guess. I walked over to him and said, "Earl, what do you need from me right now?"
I'll never forget that moment. I looked at her and I almost cried, because no one had ever asked me that. Not in those words, not with that openness. And I realized I didn't even know the answer at first. I had to think about it. What did I need?
He stood there for a long moment, and then he said, "I just need you to sit with me. I don't need you to fix anything. I just need you here."
So she did. We sat on the couch together, didn't say much, and something shifted. Because she'd asked. She'd made space for me to actually tell her what I needed instead of expecting her to guess.
And then Earl started asking me the same question, not every day, but regularly. "What do you need from me today?" And I learned to answer honestly. Sometimes I needed help. Sometimes I needed space. Sometimes I just needed him to listen without trying to solve anything.
That question changed everything, because it took away the guessing. It took away the resentment that builds when you expect someone to read your mind and they fail.
We'd wasted so many years being disappointed in each other for not meeting needs we'd never expressed. All those nights I wished Earl would hold me, but never asked. All those times he wished I'd just tell him he was doing a good job, but never said so.
Here's what we learned. Your partner cannot read your mind, no matter how much they love you. No matter how long you've been together, they're not inside your head. And expecting them to know what you need without you telling them is setting them up to fail.
And it's also setting yourself up for loneliness, because you'll have needs that go unmet, and you'll blame the person who never even knew those needs existed.
The other thing we learned is that asking isn't a burden. For years I thought asking Lorraine for support meant I was weak, or that I was putting too much on her. But she told me later that being asked made her feel trusted. It made her feel needed. It brought her closer to me.
When Earl finally started telling me what he needed, I felt like I was meeting my husband for the first time. All these years I'd been guessing who he was. Now he was actually showing me.
These last 28 years since we started asking that question have been the best of our marriage. Not because we stopped having problems, we still disagree. We still frustrate each other, but now we talk about it. We ask, we don't assume.
If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I tell him, Earl, I need you to handle dinner tonight. If he's feeling disconnected, he tells me, Lorraine, I need us to spend some time together this weekend, just us. It's so simple, but we went decades without doing it.
And here's what I want you to understand. It's never too late to start. We were in our 50s when we figured this out. We'd already raised our kids. We'd already made 1,000 mistakes. But those last decades have been richer than everything that came before.
Don't wait until the house is empty to realize you don't know your spouse anymore. Don't wait until resentment has built walls between you. Start asking now, today, what do you need from me?
And when they tell you, believe them. Don't argue with their needs. Don't tell them they shouldn't need that. Just listen, and then do your best to show up for them.
We're in our late 70s now. We don't know how many years we have left together. Could be 20, could be 2. But whatever time we have, we're not wasting it on assumptions anymore.
If we could go back and give our younger selves one piece of advice, it would be this. Ask the question, ask it early, ask it often. What do you need from me? 6 words that could save you decades of loneliness in your own marriage.
Thank you for listening to us. If this meant something to you, share it with someone you love. Leave a comment and tell us, have you been making the same mistake we made? Hit subscribe if you want to hear more from people like us, people who've lived long enough to learn a few things the hard way.
We're not experts. We're just 2 people who almost lost each other because we forgot to ask a simple question. Don't make our mistake. Ask and keep asking.
Your marriage is worth those 6 words.